How does it feel? How does it feel? How does it feel? All right, what's up, guys? I've been away for quite some time, as I like to do to recharge and not be redundant. I didn't quit; just needed new things to speak on, new material. All right, and I have a quite a list of things that I do want to speak on that I won't touch on in this video, but just goes to show that you should definitely should expect a couple more videos from me. Whether if I do it today, as far as live stream goes, just upload it. Maybe tomorrow, whatever. I got to pick my daughter up, so let me just get that out of the way. Uh, 2020, where your paradigms go to die. This year, I reverted back to some old ways. And when I say some old ways, I don't mean in a bad sense, but I would say from 2017 to 2020, I kind of dulled myself down because I was. For the reason for that is because I kind of bought into the system and I just kind of rocked myself to sleep. Became more of a sheep as I tried to provide for my daughter and this new responsibility. 2020 got me right back, and in fact, it amplified who I once was before, as a freedom fighter, as somebody who always wants to look behind the veil, beyond the veil, as somebody who just prides himself on not only telling the truth, but I take great obligation in seeking the truth, however it comes to me. One thing that I've noticed this year is a conscious, higher consciousness among the people of this land. Is it happening as fast as I would want it to? Of course not, but I notice it nonetheless. So whenever I think of ideas or things that I would like to speak on, they hit me like snapshots, and I get one sentence and I try to run with it. So with that being said, I didn't write anything down, but there's apparent to me that a lot of people are still dragging, what was somewhat sustainable, and then what you can only really tell if something is sustainable by looking back. So I'll just take that word back, not sustainable, but people dragging on things that they got by with before. That's not just it's not going to cut it now, or it just shouldn't cut it for you, or you're going to miss the mark, man. You're going to have a tough time when we talk about this new world. All right, and I don't mean to put any fear in anybody. I don't think there's anything to be afraid of, really. It's just all about being ahead of the curve. All right, and not to put myself on a pedestal or anything like that, but it's because I kind of through through life, I don't know, I kind of found myself here, kind of on the outside, like at the finish line, waiting for others to come. Now, I'm not saying the race is over and nowhere near that. It's a marathon, but just looking back, I see how far back people really are, but they're coming. All right, so you can't do nothing but respect that. And so, just some things that I just like question to myself. I just want to speak on is like, I can't believe people are still gossiping. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me just go ahead and address that right away. Like, it, I've always had a problem with gossiping and, oh my God, I can't believe she said this on that particular show. I can't believe it. But especially now, that shouldn't even be the conversation. All right. As time goes on in 2020, and it's only going to get crazier, because every good movie has a crazy climax, man. It's something you didn't see coming. We're living in the greatest movie never told, but it will be. I mean, goddamn, they're gonna play this shit the hell out. I'll tell you that much, from many angles. Um, and so, especially now, I mean, let me get back to what I was saying. There's more and more news coming out, for example, of um, sex trafficking rescues. All right, and you give you a little spoon, a little spoon feed here, spoon feed there. But what it looks like to me is kind of like breadcrumbs. All right, just trying to build up some tolerance among the people. All right, because if you ever look up the statistics of how many children go missing or how many people go missing each year, it's always readily available to see that. and it's like nobody loses any bit of sleep over it. Nobody, you never really hear anybody talking about it. 800,000 people. Where are they going? Where are they in the building? No. You know what? I'll forget all the questioning. I can tell you where they were, and I'm not talking about the people the children who were rescued in Georgia or Michigan. Uh, I mean the bulk of them. The bulk of them underground. All right. If you want to hide somebody, I think the safest place to hide somebody is underground. Okay. And I won't go into detail about that. That's not what this a video is about. But it's just like it just goes to show. I mean, that should be the conversation. If it was never the conversation, it should definitely be the conversation now. All right, especially as a parent and with so many people missing their children and their loved ones. I'm just it I can't say. I mean, I guess it kind of does bother me, but it's kind of confusing to me how with all of these people missing, that the families, it almost seem like they're silenced or not speaking about it at all. Whether they gave up hope, whatever it is. Um. Okay, I got a little off subject, but I don't think it's ever a bad time for me to speak, even though it's uncomfortable to speak on things like this. Um. On the bright side, though, I do believe that we will see a great level of resolve, unlike any other. And even as I prepare myself for the unpreparable, for the things that you just can't possibly prepare yourself for, I would to see it coming to fruition would still even be a mind blower for me. So I can only imagine how it would be for people who don't think about this as much as I do. Hey, what's up, Donovan? Oh yeah, I'm going to speak on it. I got to. All right, so these old ways of thinking, you know what I'm saying? It takes when I speak on something like this, understand that I'm talking from many angles. Yeah, yeah, you should always be speaking on these things, man. I feel you. So I'm speaking on many angles. All right. So it's not just that. It's maybe for you. It may be the paradigm of gotta go to college, gotta get a good job, or I'm struggling in here. I'm struggling internally. What's out there for me? I feel lonely. What dating app I need to get on? Old ways of thinking can't sustain you. All right. Yes, we have an obligation. Speak up and address everything, no matter how uncomfortable. And I do get mocked. I do get mocked for speaking on these things. Now, not out of fear do I am I deciding to do this, but just kind of out of okay, wait and see, buddy. Because at the end of the day, when I expose myself to these levels of information, I don't necessarily need to share it with anybody because it's not like me really. I mean, to inform people because I don't want people to just blindly believe me anyway. But I was just gonna say to tell people about the things that I've uncovered. Maybe it can bring people some type of hope when I talk about the resolve of the world. Maybe it gives them some type of hope, the type of hope that I would have. Because you know what I'm saying, there is a vibrational level where you feel like all is lost. You feel like, damn, what's the point of even going on? Maybe I should end my life. You know what I'm saying? But it's infectious. You know what I'm saying? It's the reason why I kind of like to put myself out there, try to give people just enough hope to keep them in the game. And it's one thing that I learned about chess, is one thing I learned about sports, is that there's great power in staying in the game as long as possible. You stay in the game long enough to see the tides change, so to speak. All right, so I'm really really big on that. All right, so when we talk about old ways of thinking, like I said, for you, it may be eliminating gossip. It may be, getting out of that old way of thinking. Oh, gotta get a good job. Gotta get a degree. Gotta. It may be away from that. And like I said, thirdly, I can't believe I'm actually remembering what I said this time. But thirdly, you having internal problems, you seek external solutions. All right, so let me just talk about that right now. Matter of fact, internal problems obviously call for internal solutions. All right, if something go missing in the house, you don't go looking for it in the street. Okay, even though I've been trying that lately because I can't find my wallet. But that's a different conversation. All right, no money's missing. As far as I can see on the app on the banking app. So maybe I just misplaced it. But this old way of thinking, and I think as time goes on, and I think very shortly, a lot of you will see, wow, I had nothing to worry about at all. Now, how many times have you been there where you just a solution damn near just came out of nowhere, and you say, well, I did all this worrying for nothing. No matter what comes, no matter what may come, and this is a part of shaking old paradigms. You know what I'm saying? It's it's going to happen. You may fear death, but death is going to happen. It's actually something that I'm trying to deal with right now. Um, just because I've been dealing with a great level of discomfort since May, dealing with depersonalization. So it's taken me some time to get reacclimated to everything that I've been kind of accustomed to. My norm has been shifted, and because of that, I had kind of acquired a new fear for death, fear for my life, and things like that. And sometimes it freaks me out to think that someday I'll be having my last breath. And I'm not gonna lie to you. Sometimes that scares me. Sometimes I wonder if it'll hurt. Sometimes I wonder what will come next. But no matter how I feel about it, it's going to come. That's just, I can't speak on what's to happen once there's no more breath in this body, but that day is going to come. So no matter how it feels, I'm going to feel it, you know. Um and so and reason why I say this is because, with a lot of fear that they put in us by what's in the media, a lot of uncertainty and things like that, I understand, a lot of you understand that we have to find a sense of security within ourselves. And a lot of us, we don't face this, but there are a lot of things that is just simply out of our control. It's out of our control. So in years past, I used to kind of cringe at the thought that people thought they had stable jobs because they worked for the government, because they were getting constant income, because there's a pension lined up if they can just make that 20-year mark. And if this year alone hasn't shown people, that's just not true. That's just what you bought into. That's what they try to sell you. All right. And they'll try to sell you anything when they need you. When they don't, they do things like not give you a 2 weeks notice, but they expect for you to do it. You know what I'm saying? They'll fire your ass after you come in. Like they'll fire your ass after you spend all the time getting ready, commuting. You might start working for 30 minutes and then they'll fire your ass. You know what I'm saying? They don't give a 2 week notice, say, hey, we're gonna fire you in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So prepare for your new job. They don't do that, but they want you to do that. You know what I'm saying? So that way of thinking is obviously has to be shattered. Now, for many people who understand this, who have understood this, they broke free. The good thing about this is, if that hasn't been you in recent years, well, not only is there more opportunity to do that this year and in future years, it's almost going to be like damn near a requirement. All right. And I would like to think that, and I don't know if I'll be allowed to see this, but I would like to think that, future employers will be not like won't be very much similar to the stereotypical ones. All right. That's because with the overall abundance mindset shift that will occur for reasons that I don't even really want to explain right now, because I don't really want to go deep into the rabbit hole. I don't want this conversation to be long. But with that overall abundance mindset that will be kind of pervasive all of us among all of us, and the kind of the eradication of scarcity mindset, is that things won't be as tense. Things won't feel like it's much of a competition. Things will be more so, okay, what do you need? Okay, well, here you go. You know what I'm saying? It'll be that simple. It won't be one of those things where crush the competition, where you must crush. It won't be one of those top heavy things. You know what I'm saying? Um, but regardless of that, regardless when it's supposed to happen, you have to become that person. The things that you and just because by chance is the way that I kind of came up, I kind of have maybe a leg up on some of you, but not all of you, or maybe not even most of you. But basically, the things that you saw and that you feel uncomfortable about, and things that kind of struck you in a negative way, you don't have to replicate, even if you feel forced to do it. Especially as time goes on, like when I was a child, 4 or 5 years old, I saw my mom get punched. You know what I'm saying? Like my stepfather, he banged my mom head into a windshield, put a gun to her head, all types of things that was going on around me. And as a child, you have a tough time kind of like processing things that you see and the things that you hear. But I think I just kind of like intrinsically gathered that that wasn't the type of thing that I wanted to do. And I didn't like I liked everything to kind of be as precise as possible. If there were 10 jelly beans in a jar, I wanted that count to be direct, because why not? Get it right. So I kind of always prided myself on like playing fair. You know what I'm saying? Like telling the truth, even if it hurts people, even if I get judged for it, but at least I told the truth. All right, as opposed to sustaining a lie. And because I'm not a religious person by any means, but some of the things that I've read in the Bible, it's just on the money to me. And I truly believe that the meek shall inherit the earth. If that means you have to suffer a little bit more up front, then so be it. You know what I'm saying? So, let me just say, maybe it's off the subject because I was just talking about this yesterday, but it just hits to me. But like, I don't know if there's a heaven or a hell, but I'm gonna live as if there is one. You know what I'm saying? So just trying to live righteously, trying to give of myself to the world without losing myself in this world. And that's why I take the time to to dive within myself, to immerse myself within this body, within the deepest realms of myself, to find the greatest truth that I can possibly scratch. You know what I'm saying? And I don't always get it right. I don't always get it right. But that's just a part of the whole paradigm shift, that it's not about being right. You know what I'm saying? Per se, it's not about me being right, you being wrong. It's about trying to find a truth that benefits all of us. And it doesn't have to be one of those things where I make like a Jehovah's Witness and I have to knock down on your door, make you uncomfortable to tell you what I have uncovered, what I have found for myself to be this great truth. Ultimately, no matter how I feel about an individual, how I feel about the world, understand that my mission is always to make this place better, because I couldn't think of, with all these distractions we have in this world, we probably only have a handful of purposes, really. And so I just kind of want to be in line with that. I want to be in touch with all of that. Now I just off the spot, on the spot, I can't really think of what our true purpose could be. That's kind of um, somewhat prescribed for all of us, but it's there. You know what I'm saying? So like, if I even had to think about that, I'll say, or reproducing, making connections, and or realizing the connections that we have with others. You know what I'm saying? And I said a handful, I named two, but beyond that, a lot of that is just what we decide to do. But I think we all should sit down with ourselves and think about what our true purpose is beyond anything of the societal structure, because what what you may see, or what I see, is a societal structure that is not only sustainable, but it's dying. It probably died a while ago, and that's because with the advancement of technologies, it kind of actually revealed to us what we were actually useful for. And although we were useful to be a placeholder for the robots, it's very much apparent that with the rise of AI and other robotic entities, that was never our purpose. Okay, that was a purpose that was given to us, and that's why it's very important that you dig deep into yourself and find the true purpose is because if you don't have one, they'll give one to you, and the ones that they give to you is very much temporary. I would especially say now your grandfather or something like that. He spent his whole year working on cars or whatever. I guess he was good. You know what I'm saying? He sucked it up and he did that. The reason why a lot of us why depression and anxiety is at an all-time high, and we can think of many reasons like Wi-Fi and things like that, is because as the consciousness starts to shift, a lot of us, we just can't put up with a fucking society that just doesn't favor us. We know, even if we can't pinpoint it, we know that this society wasn't for us. We know that. All right, so now there's a lot of disconnect between boomers and us, and God knows Gen Z, is because we're not willing. We had this rebellious nature about it. We don't want to buy in to what they bought into. All right. So it's tough to, we grow up and they say, this is what you got to do. We see them doing that. We see them barely getting by. That seems to affect us the most. Actually, they're barely getting by. And you say, well, if I'm barely getting by, it'd be better if I barely get by on my goddamn self. I don't need a shitty job so I can barely get by. I can barely get by without that thing. So you know what I'm saying? I can find a way to make do without it. You know what I'm saying? So, and it may not, it's easier for some than others. I understand that people have their difficulties, especially right now. I understand that the people feel deprived, the people feel lied to, the people feel betrayed at an all-time high. Like if you never trusted the government, I couldn't bank on you to trust the government right now. So I could tell you all these things, like I said in many videos. I say, "Oh, these things gonna work out, man. Like it's a plan. Things are put into place. Trust the process." But that shit doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It's actually pretty good that a lot of us feel deprived and things like that. Because now, maybe for the first time in your lives, will you find a way to rely on yourself? And when I say rely on yourself, I don't mean I filled out 30 job applications today. You know what I'm saying? That's not what I'm saying. Like, oh yeah, I mean, good for you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say anything that you do to provide for yourself is bad, but problems may stand to repeat if you keep going through with the same process. This may actually be that time for you to separate yourself from a dying society, and then you find what you can make or what you can do to sustain yourself. All right. And it's just one of those things where, because like some of you, for the life of me, I'm job applications, no, not for me. All right. And just as I talk about this, a lot of you guys may think, oh man, he's a bum living in his mom's basement or whatever. I live in my aunt's basement. And I humbly like to say that I'm not broke. I'm far from broke. And so I feel like, I feel more comfortable in saying these things. I don't want to try to steer you down the wrong path and say, oh, you don't need a job and I'm broke and I can't pay my bills, and that's just not the case. Will I always be as comfortable as I am right now as far financially? I don't know. I'm willing to take risk because I am kind of comfortable financially, but I am still yet to feel the type of comfort where I say, okay, this can last me my lifetime. So I'm still looking for these particular moves I can make to sustain this type of lifestyle, because I've known it for quite some time that just wasn't for me. And if you read a book like Lynchpin by Seth Godin, and I think that you should read it, you know what I'm saying? It just kind of reassures you that this place isn't for you, and that who you are as a unique individual uh, is is enough to build on. That's the foundation that you need. And I apologize if I'm rambling. I'm getting all over the place. My whole train of thought is just like all over the place. I don't really have one. I just kind of flow in and out, and I just run with it. All right, so I'm pretty sure there are things that I'm missing um, as I speak on these type of things. You know what I'm saying? All important, but I just want to feel like I just want to kind of cover all bases, no matter how fast. And peace to you as well, DJ. But yeah, I just want to kind of speak on these things, um, no matter how fast. So it's just an old way of. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I actually want to speak more on like you being that unique individual, and the burden that comes with um kind of shaping yourself to fit in society that isn't for you is just that, is that you have to play this role of a nut and bolt, and that's just not you. Constantly pushing off what it means to be you, constantly pushing off your craft, the things that you favor, the things that you kind of aspire to be, the things you aspire to do. And actually, for a lot of you, you may be like me where you lay on your back sometimes and you look at the ceiling and you just think, what am I here for? What do I want to do? Why does none of these things matter to me? Why don't I feel driven? And why don't I feel driven to cater to a society that doesn't cater to me? Why does it feel like others are greater at sucking it up than I am? And well, and actually to answer that last question is because a lot of people feel like that's the only way. All right. So before you or I choose to talk down on people who see something like that as their only way, you know what I'm saying? Have some empathy, have some sympathy, because we all have our journeys, we all have our pains, and we all are kind of molded by the things that we see. All right. And I think one of and it's kind of a throwaway, but I want to kind of explain it. But I think one of the main reasons how I'm just able to see things at a much deeper level, probably than average, is because, and I say respectfully, I can't stress this enough, because I just kind of stumbled upon it, was my spiritual journey, and spending quite some time in meditation and reflection, introspection, sometimes rumination. I can't stress this enough. Like when I try to connect the dots as to how I even became this person of such a higher consciousness, maybe, and I say, okay, ever since I was, young, people told me I was wise, or call me older, whatever it is, I think like an old man, whatever it is. Still around 2000, since 2013, something definitely just it shifted. I was able to see things unfold before they actually did. And so earlier when I was talking about one of our purposes was to find, kind of make connections and or realize our connections with others, that's something that happened. And of course, through being indoctrinated to being programmed for over 20 years, some things are kind of hard. Some things are harder to shake off than others. But what I realized is that I had a bit of an ego death, not a complete one, but I did have quite a bit of an ego death. And what comes with an ego death is that you start to see things in an unbiased manner, or the things that you were quite sold on, and you say, well, I'm not so sure now. And that's what I spent a lot of this year, especially. I've been kind of going back and forth, trying to make sure I see both sides, or multiple sides, multiple angles of something that I may feel strongly about. That's the thing. I just don't, as stubborn as I can be as a Taurus, I can very easily try to see the other side. So if you see me strongly speak out against something, it's because I saw the other side and I'm convinced. All right, it's not a one way thing, and I do this about everything. All right, even when I speak out against pedophilia, okay, I saw the other side. All right, I definitely didn't engage in the fucking other side, but I saw the other side, and I can comfortably say that that's just some shit that I am not with, and how they try to make it the norm, or like if you try to speak out against it on Twitter or Facebook, they'll try to ban you, but it's perfectly fine for them to talk about how they, you know, what's dot dot dot. I mean, whatever. That's a different conversation, because also when it comes to pedophilia, I understand that that is there is a spectrum, a great spectrum when it comes to that, like many other things, but as a whole, absolutely not. And I speak out against that, just not from an unbiased manner, not from a manner of, someone who just doesn't want to understand. I understand. Um, but besides that, for things that are a lot less controversial, I I'm not so quick to sell myself on something. All right. The only thing that I can ever really truly be certain of, and and I'm not all that certain either, is of myself. Of myself. All right. And one thing I'm learning to do as somebody who, I guess you may even qualify me as somebody who borderline personality disorder. You know what I'm saying? It feels like I have a lot of identities. You know what I'm saying? But all of them feel true to myself. And I've had trouble over the years with myself, and I say, well, who the fuck are you? You wake up every day, and it's like it's a different you. All right. One moment you seem like the most intellectual person in the world. Sometimes you're just a fucking complete idiot. Sometimes you are completely calm, or now you're just really aggressive, you're really talkative, or now you're really quiet. You know what I'm saying? Very confident. Really shy. It's like it's really all over the place. And one thing that I learned to accept is just that. Accept it, embrace it. Because you know what I'm saying. If you try to take from the societal book and societal expectations, you say, oh well, I gotta be this way all the time. All the time, this is how I gotta be. You're like you're a fucking robot. All right. And that's the problem now. We try to do things quite robotically, but we're just not robots. We didn't sign up for this life for however many years to be robots. Okay. Make no mistake about it. All right. So I mean, whereas it's a beautiful feature that you can work on an assembly line. You boom, 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 and your mind can go completely somewhere else. I guess that's the benefit to that. But wouldn't life be so much better if you didn't have to go somewhere else mentally? You could just actually be here in the present, in the moment, and you never had to look. And I still struggle with this too, but you never had to look back and say, "Damn, where did all the time go?" I struggle with that because for me personally, time just goes by fast, and I guess that's just not going. It just seems like it's not going to slow down, even if you accept time as an illusion. It's you still kind of got to play the time game a little bit because see, I got to pick my daughter up at a certain time. You know what I'm saying? I can't say time is an illusion, not pick my daughter up. You know what I'm saying? That'd be a problem. But it goes by fast, and it's just I want a lot of you people to not have to live a life where it's just like just waiting for the time to pass. Well, I can't wait till Saturday, and it's just such a dying thing. Like as I speak out against this, it's obviously not as prevalent as it once was, but it's still the case. There's still a lot of y'all waiting for the weekends and things like that. But the new norm, man. I think if I if ever I try to speak on the new norm and how it's going to be and things like that, understand that whether if you believe me or not, it's always readily available for you. It's not something that I gotta fucking pull up out of a book. It's just something that could be your truth. You know what I'm saying? Your reality could be I only work 1 day a week. I only work 12 hours a week, but I just choose to do that on one particular day. You know what I'm saying? And that may be the case with some of my subscribers, really. Or, maybe you work more than the average person just because you love to do it. All right. You define that. Though, 40-hour work week is not set in stone. It's just the norm of once again, a dying society. All right. And so if you feel this way, if you feel negatively about any circumstance, you should definitely feel that. And a lot of people will tell you, maybe even a lot of older people will tell you, hey, sir, just suck it up. To some degree, I actually do agree. I really do. And so like when I was working in construction, I had the benefit of be able to have like some headphones and some earbuds, whatever. I can listen to some informative things. I would listen to books. I listened to Relentless by Tim Grover, who was Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, D Wade, Kobe Bryant's trainer. It's a great book. Very, very seldom do I go through something more than once, and so I really like that book, and I went through it twice, maybe 3 times. I don't know. I can't remember, but I would do that. I would download a lot of YouTube videos on like how to work for yourself and things. This is if for nothing else, it's about exposure. and people, exposing yourself to people who are pretty much just showing you that it's possible to be out on your own. You know what I'm saying? And one thing that I realized last year when I was getting my book business up and running, I was selling books, and I was in the car on my way to pick up books or to drop books off, or get back home with my shipment, whatever it is. If it just kind of like dawned on me at that point that, wow, here I am, I'm working, I'm on my way home to the apartment to work for myself, and a lot of these people, no matter how they feel, whether happy, upset, and things like that, they go in an opposite direction to work, you know? And so interestingly enough, in certain places, I mean, all over the world, but in this country, but in my area that I live in, where you're going is not going to have as much traffic as the other side where people are coming from. You know what I'm saying? And maybe I didn't explain that well enough, but let's just run with it. So basically, I'm going to a place where a lot of people are coming from, and the reason for that is because all the work and where they're going to work is going back this way towards DC, and I'm going further away from DC to where they are, because I'm going out there to buy some things to sell. You know what I'm saying? And so I would capture that imagery, relatively fast, because I say, wow, damn, all these people, they in traffic jams going to work, and I'm going closer to where they live for my work. You know what I'm saying? And there's something there that I kind of want to unpack, like, right now. And we talk about pack, we talk about rabs, and the rat race, and you talk about, you talk about rats and the rat race, and everybody's so clogged up together on their way to a societal obligation that doesn't favor them. And here I am going my own way, and there's less traffic, the road less traveled. You know what I'm saying? It's the road less traveled. On the road less traveled, as I tried to write in one of my books that actually just failed, so I just scrapped it. On the road less traveled, there is less traffic. So whereas you have less people to follow, you can blaze your own trail without people getting in the way. It's as simple as that. It's a lot, as above, so below. From many angles, when you follow the road that many people travel, there's traffic in many avenues. Not only, no pun intended, but quite literally, on your way there to your job, to your conventional, to your 9 to 5, there's a lot of traffic in the streets. There's a lot of traffic within the job. It's a lot of traffic between where you are and where you would like to be. Is within that job. There's a lot of traffic when you're dealing with coworkers, kind of enforcing their will on you, where they'll say things like, "Well, if you want to rise in this company, you got to do it this way." And if you got a good brain about you, you would say to yourself, "Well, I don't really want to rise in this company personally. I don't." You think this to yourself. You don't want to get fired or whatever, but you say, "I really don't want to rise in this company. I don't get paid enough. I feel like a goddamn slave. I am not passionate about any of this shit. You people fucking stink. Your jokes suck. All of these things." And that's also traffic. And when you speak of traffic, you talk about blockage, and you have this mental blockage because you expose yourself to this system for so much, you can't think of anything else but to sleep when you get home. And so you do sleep, and so you have other people think for you, as far as what you put on the television, whether if it's fiction or it's the news. And then on your day off, you don't even know what to do. Some of you may even miss going to work, to a job you don't fucking like, just because you have nothing else to do, because you've been programmed for so long, through public school, through working a 9 to 5, through whatever, through putting your passions on the back burner, and if on your, maybe even on your way to work. That's the only time you ever, or your way back home from work. Also, the only time you feel some goddamn passion about yourself, where it seems like all things are possible, all things are magical, and you got the music playing and you singing along. You say, "Oh, I feel so inspired." But you feel so inspired, but you don't even do anything with the inspiration. Because what to do? What do you do with this inspiration? Where the time that you spend all this time working a shitty job that doesn't promote inspiration, you finally feel some inspiration. You don't know what to do with it because you didn't spend any time on any of the crafts that you may favor. You didn't. The only bit of singing that you ever did was on your way to work, on your way home. The only bit of, you don't do any bit of drawing. You haven't done any drawing or painting since you were in school, and you don't do any dancing. You don't feel comfortable enough to take the chance to start your own business. You've been meaning to get to looking up that information, how to build up personal, or not even personal credit. I mean, that's one thing. A lot of people build up personal credit for two reasons, and what I mean, they're cool, but it's not good enough if you ask me. But to build up business credit and things like that, or the benefits of even building business credit, or even your personal credit as well. You never get around to doing that. You so goddamn fatigued. You so goddamn fatigued. Again, working a job that doesn't sustain you, and then you eat terrible food that doesn't sustain you, but because of out of convenience, and you barely have time, you don't have energy to go grocery shopping and to cook for yourself. McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? They're in business out of convenience. And if people, hey, what's up? What's up? And if people had more time on their hands, they would choose better. All right. They would choose better. And so a lot of these businesses, they benefit from the fact that you just don't have the time, that you just don't have the energy, and that you just don't have the money. All right. That's tough. And, and, you know, when I talk about breaking free, it's easy for me to just say break free. But I never really revealed to you as to how you can do this. And so which pretty much sums up the reason why I even wanted to make this video. And I forgot about this, but if you talk long enough, you might remember something. It all comes down to preparation. Quite, uh, quite a militant thing. And it's going to take a lot of trial and error. That's why it's good that you listen to a lot of informative people, because you'll find your way to just that level of thinking, because a lot of successful people, they understand this. But it's just a quite a militant way of thinking that requires discipline, that requires making some moves that not only are kind of out of the ordinary, but maybe because they're out of the ordinary, they're uncomfortable. But like lifting weights, and I was supposed to be lifting weights while I do the live stream, but whatever. But like lifting weights, you learn to get comfortable with the things that once made you uncomfortable. Just like how you can find a way to get comfortable with working a new job. You know what I'm saying? You feel nervous, you feel timid, and you don't want to make mistakes, and you want to have good impressions and things like that. Then you start to get comfortable, then the jokes start coming in and things like that. It happens in many forms. All right. And so then you find a way to maneuver on the outskirts of society, kind of like, or even more glorified version of that man who has a beat up dump truck, or not dump truck, but a beat up pickup truck, who goes house to house looking for things to scrap, looking for things to sell, whatever it is. All right. So without, and you have to literally do that, but figuratively speaking, you gotta be like somewhat of that type of guy, man, that type of girl. I'm gonna get my nails dirty. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna make a junkyard dog out of myself. I'm gonna be scrappy. I'm gonna put certain things on the back burner, which is this is the main reason why I wanted to make this video. Is there's certain things that just shouldn't matter right now. Shouldn't matter in times of war, and we are in war. Chances of us being casualties, as in individually, maybe it's fairly low, but it's a time for you to get ahead of the curve, or And I think you have a great deal of time to get it right, and other people who have taken the time to get it right, they'll be there to help you as well. But um, this is a great time to prepare, to prepare for that by way of reconstruction. Constructing yourself. See, I had the pleasure of working in construction. I watched buildings go from just like nothing to just like, wait a minute, is this the same floor? Huh? I, I was definitely working in this room, but now I'm not too sure because it looks completely different. And I can't stress this enough when I talk about as above, so below. If it happen in buildings, you damn sure it can happen to you. The tough thing about that actually when it comes to change, and I would know that is because is that a lot of people will see you as who you once was. All right. I mean, if for some people they'll spend their whole life seeing you as whoever you used to be. All right. And so that comes with some pressure, and you feel like you don't want to present yourself as anything other than what they've known you as. All right. Like the gay guy who wants to, when he hanging around the guy members of his family, he still want to act like, and I'm not stereotyping. I'm speaking about a specific type of gay person. I know all gay people aren't like this, but like the gay person who, when you get around the guys, you want to act all extra macho and shit like that. Even though we know what it is, and it's like we accept you, but you need to accept yourself, because that at the end of the day, even if we didn't accept you, you need to understand that no matter how people treat you, whether good or bad, if they accept you, no matter if it's criticism or just all praise, at the end of the day, you have to be with yourself. You know what I'm saying? You will be left with yourself. If everybody who ever judged you or whoever criticized you die off, and they will, but if they died off before you ever did, you'd just be left with yourself. And so what was it all worth to put yourself in this box to please people who are just, I mean, first of all, when this world is abundant, it's full of people, but people come and go. And it's just seasons. It's just amazing how quick especially now, honeymoons, they fade very quick. You know what I'm saying? I mean, literally, as far as like marriages and things like that, people get married for the wrong reasons and whatever. That's not up for me to decide what the right reason is. I'll leave that alone. But honeymoons and other events, people's like, you like their posts on Facebook or whatever, or a lot of people, you had a little honeymoon with me. You were feeling what I was saying at first, and then I started switching up a little bit, and you say, oh yes, delete, unsubscribe, or I ain't watching his videos, he nutty, or whatever it may be. But the honeymoon phases, they fade out relatively fast. So it's like when people, so it's like when people praise me, people show me love and things like that. I mean, I appreciate it, but at the end of the day, I understand that I'm like one sentence away from them saying, hey, all right, man, like I ain't fucking with you no more, or bye, delete, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So I just like, I don't even try to keep up with what you know with what made people love me or like me in the first place. People who like me love me for many different reasons, and they hate me for maybe the same reasons, for all I know. But I can only really be true with what it means to be me. I can only be consistent with what it means to be me, and that seems to change, all the time. But at the core of it, it's always the same. All right, tell the truth, tell my truth, fight for freedom, play the game fair, whatever it is. Always play fair. Thank you, one love and one love, one love. Um, yeah, I appreciate that. I never really know the magnitude of the things I speak on until I go back and I play it and I listen to it for myself. And this is why I kind of favor not writing down a list of things that I want to speak on, because I never know where I'm going to go, and I just put myself on the spot. It's good, man. And I stumble, I stutter, I may mispronounce certain words. It's okay. You just keep going at it, man. That's what life is all about. That's actually one thing that I learned about Gary Vee. Like he really understands it. He really gets it. You know what I'm saying? Just like You don't get to decide what's quality, what's what's art, whatever. It's subjective. So before you try to put out your art or your music, whatever it is, whatever art is, a lot of you kind of get in your own way. And this was and here's goes a nugget right here. Reason why a lot of you got writer's block is because you're so concerned with how others may perceive it. But what really matters is how you perceive it. If you can find a way to turn yourself on, if you can find a way to light yourself up, that's all that matters, and other people will like it. You know what I'm saying? Because I found that even when I put out something that I don't like, and I've definitely gotten more comfortable putting out things that I don't like, other people may see it as gospel. Other people may see it as refreshing. So I've learned not to doubt myself in that regard. It's still gonna take some work, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, it's like everything morphs and changes into something different, but yet seems to become more of the same differently. Absolutely. And brings along this philosophical question is like, at what point are you not the person that you were? You know what I'm saying? It's an interesting question. Like I remember reading this in this philosophy book. It's like I think it was called just Philosophy 101. Got a lot of heat to it, boy. I tell you, it's full of a lot of notable philosophers. And boy, honestly, because I got the Kindle Unlimited, I think I might see if I can go ahead and get that again. I've been buying a lot of books recently, but I need to take advantage of some of these Kindle Unlimited books. And I don't think the question was posed like this. I think it was more so about the way that I said it about when is a person not the person that he or she once was, and especially when you consider that I don't know the body kind of recreates every 7 years or so. I don't know how true that is. But what you know, but the question that I kind of posed, I don't know if I did come up with this myself, and honestly, because the person who originally asked it, I don't think he was alive at a time where cars existed. But the question basically is, at what point is the car you paid for not that car anymore? You know what I'm saying? And I actually asked this before because I was like, okay, well, if you change out the lights, is it still the same car? If you change out, okay, well, you change out the lights and then you change out the hood, is it still the same car? You change the motor. What if you chop the top off that bad boy? What if you change out the tires, you add some rims to it? You know what I'm saying? What if you get a different muffler? You know what I'm saying? At what point is that not the car you pay for, and do you still have to make payments on it? Now, because I don't want to say because of to prevent loopholes and things like that, because obviously there's other reasons. The one thing that stops a lot of people from winning court cases in kind of these loophole scenarios is probably that VIN number. It's the VIN number. That's what you're paying for ultimately. You're paying for that one VIN number, because if there wasn't a VIN number, then you could always argue this isn't the car that I paid for. I don't even know why I'm making payments on this car. It's not even the same car. All right. When you bought it off the lot, it was this car. It was red. It had this and that. Now it don't even have a top on it. All right. That's why should I have to pay for this? Is not what I paid for. All right. But that's a different conversation. It's just like, and this is why a lot of us get it wrong. Um, when it comes to this, is because it's when you look in nature, everything is just changes, it grows and things like humans. The only people just want to get in the way of nature. All right. Um, oh, I want to shave and make myself look more favorable. I have nothing against grooming, by the way. It's just I made a video and I talk about how I don't really groom all that much or whatever. It doesn't mean I don't take showers and all that. I do. I brush my teeth. Okay, you're a wise guy, huh? But we get in the way of our nature. Our hair starts to get gray and we want to dye it down. I don't know. Tits start to get saggy, so put some new ones in there. You know, just things like that. And I just think we need to embrace this change, but not to embrace the change that happens by way of um, kind of the weapons that have been kind of placed used to be used against us. So, like for example, if you start to gain a lot of weight for eating shitty food, I'm not saying, oh, just accept and go on. Like, no, do something about that. You just stop eating the bad foods, start fasting, whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to things like that, I mean, obviously I'm not saying, well, yeah, just embrace it. And and as I get older, I'm having, I'm still, I'm getting more, accepting of the things that I can't change, but I'm still having trouble with things like I'm losing hair, but the writing's on the wall. 'Cause every man in my family, every man on my father's side is just bald. So, I mean, but it's okay. Once you lose that need for vanity, that need to kind of practice vanity, it's okay. And then you start to realize that everybody who, not like acceptance of people matter, but but I have to say this, when you start to realize that the people around you accept you as you are, then you don't feel a need, then there is definitely no need for you to put on a show. There's no need for you to put on a facade. And then you actually start to feel thankful that people choose not to be around you based on how you look. You know what I'm saying? That's the deal. That's the trade-off, okay? Yeah, you may not be as popular, or you may not be deemed as beautiful, whatever it is, but the trade-off is that the people who actually fuck with you, the people who are actually in your life, they accept you as you are, and what a greater gift. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, you can only really be satisfied by the gifts that kept on giving, not something that you had to constantly put on a show for. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I wanted to be very careful. From the moment I made this YouTube channel, I knew that this was going to be one thing where I was going to do my absolute best to not play it safe. Because I remember when I started to get a lot of attention on Facebook, and I was starting to get a whole lot of likes, shares, and just well wishes and things like that. I wanted to keep that going. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't offensive. I want to make sure that I said something that probably most people would agree on. I'm not saying that I speak on things that only the minority agree on. But the fact of the matter is that that doesn't matter anymore. But I used to do those things, try to be nice and comfortable, make sure I keep getting those likes. Maybe one of these things will go viral. Maybe I get famous or something like that. You know what I'm saying? But once I started speaking on things that were more controversial, as I started to grow, and some of the things I actually did feel all along, and or just the things that I was kind of closed off to, then I get called a lot of, then the name calling comes from a lot of those people who once praised me. It's amazing all the things you get called once you say, okay, I ain't playing it safe no more. I gotta tell it how I see it. You know what I'm saying? I gotta call it how it is. And that's kind of become kind of the core of who I am. It's just less of I'm not gonna argue with you anymore. All right. I'm not trying to debate. I'm not trying to say, prove you to be wrong or whatever it is. I'm putting out my shit, and then I just go. I mean, that's what I want to be my nature now. When we talk about nature, is that I want to do these things, even want to have high hopes for the outcome, but really, I'm kind of separating myself from expectations. In fact, sometimes I'll expect the worst without having any emotional ties to it, and just say, I'll put this out. Everybody will hate it. Everybody will talk shit about me, whatever it is. All right. Because, I mean, truly, at my best, I don't care about the approval of anybody. I just want to make sure that nowhere down the road does my daughter say, man, my father was a shitty guy. He just was never around. He just smacked my mom. He was a drunk, whatever it is. I never want that to be the case, and I control that. And that's the only thing that really matters to me, is really, how my daughter perceives me. But even it may get to a point where I don't care how she perceives me when she becomes an adult. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know, she just may not like how I carry myself, but her dislike for me won't have anything to do with mistreatment. All right. I'll go to war for my child. I'll go to war for many people, if the situation is right. Now, there's a number one obviously in my life. So she takes priority over everybody else. All right. But other than that, I don't care about your fucking approval. Like, look, I'm 30 years old. I'm not treating life like it's an audition, buddy. I'm not auditioning for anybody's fucking approval. All right, get in line. All right, go somewhere else with that. A lot of people, they want you to audition for them is because they spend their life auditioning for everybody else. First impressions, first impressions. If I don't get it right the first time, and that it takes for you, all right, well, bye. All right, I'm not gonna try to put myself into this goddamn box and start shucking and jiving so you can like me and singing Cat Town Lady, do this thing, do that. Like, I'm not about to be performing for you. Fuck off. All right. I know who I am. Even if who I am always changes, I know who I am. I know that I'm somebody who always changes. I know that I'm somebody who plays it fair. I know that I just don't subscribe to societal structures, and I don't have to. You don't have to either. And with that being said, I am gone. Best wishes, everybody. I spoke too much, so I don't. I'm probably not gonna make a new video today. I was gonna hop right back into another one, but I'll do that tomorrow or so. Time for me to be a father. Okay. All right. So see you later.